So, I loaded all the replays from the Team Liquid map contest onto my computer this morning. And most of the replay files are like 100 kilobytes, maybe 200 kilobytes big. This particular file of this particular game is well over a megabyte. Now, I haven't seen a single game on Tokamak yet, so I guess we'll have to find out together. Spawning right here in the top right-hand corner. I mean, take a guess. Who do you think is going to be the Terran player that has an extremely long game to their name? This, of course, can only be Spirit. Spirit is a man who loves command centers. It has to be Spirit. His opponent, somebody who's not scared of playing Terrans in the late game. Who do you think it is? Of course, we're looking at Rogue's main, Hatchery. Long, drawn-out games of StarCraft 2 are currently not very common. I don't really know exactly how long this game is going to be, but judging off of the fact that this is, at least for StarCraft 2 replay file size, is a massive game. I haven't looked at the timer, but I think we're going to be here for a little bit. So, hope you got yourself a drink. I've got myself a very large water bottle. As we are going to experience one of these new maps together. Now, like I said, this is from the map contest, meaning that you can go ahead and vote for example, this map if you want to. I'll leave a link to the Team Liquid thread where you can go ahead and do so down below. From what I've seen so far, though, the maps are really, really fun. This is one of my favorite times, actually, to be a StarCraft caster and a StarCraft fan. The maps have such an important part of balance, like such a critical part of the StarCraft 2 matchmaking, that I think it's a lot of fun to watch pro gamers figure out how these sort of things work. Now, so far, everything's very normal. Honestly, across the map, I'm not really noticing anything crazy all too often. This kind of looks like one of those maps that is crafted with the same old recipe, but using slightly different ingredients. Yeah, I guess these over... Oh, I remember why this map was interesting. Oh, yep. So I read all of the descriptions, and I looked at the maps when they were first announced. The finalists, that is. This is one of the finalists. These cooling towers... So this is the map's, you know, special twist. Most of the maps are like relatively normal, but then they have like a special twist. So the base is over here in the middle. There's one over here and then also one over here. When you destroy the cooling towers, they fall down and they crush the mineral fields. Now, I don't really know exactly how useful that's going to be for gameplay implications, but if you can... I mean, say for example... Well, I mean, this is likely going to be a long game. Say one of these bases is going to be acquired, and you're trying to deny your opponent's resources in the late game. If you can knock down the cooling tower, you can prevent that entire base from mining. So Spirit, you know, might just have to deal with a Zerg player who's just going to, like, run 1,000,000 banelings into a cooling tower or something and then crush the mineral line. I mean, it's a cool idea. I don't know if it's actually useful. And we would have to do math to try and figure out when it is effective to roll in banelings, for example. I don't think you really want to do that. But... yeah, I'm excited to find out exactly how this ended up going down, because this is one of those bases that I think we generally don't see until the absolute late game. I don't think it's a base you really want to be taking until, well, you absolutely have no other chance. Or no other choice. Ooh, look at that. We have a little Reaper ledge in the middle of the map. Curious. Normally those are only around, yeah, right around the main base. Aw. Can you put a siege tank on here? Please tell me you can't put a siege tank on here. Considering it's the first thought that I have, it's also gonna be going through Spirit's head right now. Maybe it's not the end of the world. It's quite far away, but it is something that looks like you could have a siege tank sieged up on. No, I don't think so. I don't think it would fit. What's going on here? So this is just a decorative part of the map, but I just want to see what's happening here. What is this? Something's happening, dude. Does not look particularly healthy. Hey, it's the iCruiser again. Are you operational? That's beautiful. Okay. I looked up what tokamak meant, and it had something to do with nuclear energy, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe that's what we've got going on over here. So far, though, macro-focused game by both players, and we do, interestingly enough, have a quick armory coming up for Spirit. Spirit has got a bunch of Hellions. We're doing a Hellbat push. This is a bit of a funky attack. Yeah, he's already got concussive shells. There's a landed Viking. We are going queen hunting. Concussive shelled him down. Turn to Hellbats. We're not. Oh, we're just going to surround Brenda. So we made the armory, but that didn't transform them. I mean, there's still a load of queens on the back of this. This is an uncommon attack in 2025. We don't really see this all too frequently anymore, but I quite like it. I always like the concussive shells with this, because it's making it impossible for Zerg to retreat. Medevac does go down, but already a lot of damage is being done to the Zerg. I think across the board, this is totally fine right here for Terran. You kind of want to keep the Medevac, though, if you have any choice in the matter, but this has really slowed down the Zerg player a ton, so that'll be the end. Maybe another Zergling will go down, maybe some more damage will be dealt, but this will be the end for the early game harassment here for Spirit. And he ends up killing 7 queens. That's a lot of resources lost. Now, how do you capitalize on this as a Terran player? Option A, go for an attack. Try to see if you can win the game. Very popular option. Maybe not right now, but you can go for a timing attack a minute or two from now, right? Option B, make a command center. And then make another command center. And then when you have those command centers, make another command center. And then what you could do after that is make another command center. And then after, you get the point. I think Spirit will probably go for option B. That is what Spirit likes to do. And hey, some people criticize it. I mean, maybe I am criticizing it. Who knows? But ultimately, it is a perfectly viable way to play the game. You know, a lot of StarCraft players, when they want to get good at the game, they will set themselves like a daily games goal. So say, for example, you want to get good at StarCraft and you're like, I'm going to play 10 ladder games a day, or 20, or 30. A lot of programmers will play about that many. I don't think Spirit ever did that. I think Spirit just played StarCraft, and he just tries to come up with the best win condition, and he really does not care if one game for him takes 45 minutes. If he can play 4 games in an entire day, you know, at least like 4 focused practice games, he's totally fine with that. And it's a bit of a different mindset, and it results into a bit of a different playstyle. But it's cool to see. So let's see, where does he take this game? He is playing Bio, by the way, so I have seen him play a bunch of mech as of late. This does not look like a mech game. Although what isn't now may still come in the future. But this is going to be very quick. I mean, I say that. Now, we do have a 4th command center coming up, and we do have barracks 6, 7, and 8 right now. So he does actually have all of the bio production. He can certainly be aggressive. Yeah, he can do whatever he likes from here. And I think being aggressive while expanding is actually the correct way to play this. Rogue, by the way, also still macroing up really nicely. Heads off to Rogue here. One problem, though, with losing 7 queens is that you can't lay down the creep tumors here. So the creep is really what's hindering him, so he has to give up on that base. Rogue instead goes for the expansion on the left side of the map. It's a little further away. He has a few active creep tumors that we could still certainly spread. Why would you spread them that way, Rogue? Oh, why that way? No. Okay, well, fine. Never cross creep, guys. Crossing creep tumors is not okay. Okay, you can do whatever you like, but also you should probably make maximum distance a thing. Hive coming up. Please no ultras. Please no ultras. Please no ultras. My 2025 theory so far is that whenever we see ultras, Zerg loses the game. I really hope for Rogue's sake he's not going to make ultras. But also, I kind of want to see ultras because I love ultras, but also I think they're kind of mediocre. And this is looking an awful lot like an ultra game because we have 2-2, but nothing else. No Hydra Den. No real transition to anything else. No Spire. No Lurkers. None of that. So this has to be ultras. Right here. Right here. I know we're being aggressive right now, but we're retreating. Adrenal glands, and then right here. Oh! Yo! Even a broken caster is right twice a year, as they say. That's beautiful.
How loco pre-watched the game?
I did not pre-watch the game. I just get it wrong most of the time. Got it right once, though. Very nice. 2-2 right here for Spirit. Just about to wrap up. Adrenal Glands, by the way, in my mind, is the more important upgrade. I think you would actually research Adrenal Glands 4 times before you would ever want to make an Ultra Cavern. But this is effectively Rogue going for an ultralisk rush. Yep, and well, apparently we're once more bringing out the Overlord strategy as well. So, he did, by the way, click the Ultra Cavern, and he immediately fired up the upgrades. So he must have seen the spawning pool. He just purposefully did not make it. And we're rushing out Ultras. Now, this is not Mass Overseer. This is a different approach from Rogue here altogether. We're going for a little Zergling drop. There is no... Oh, it's coming. There's no sensor tower yet surrounding the main base, but by the time Rogue hits it, well, I think it's going to appear on the radar immediately here for Spirit. He doesn't have vision. Abort, abort, abort. Rogue wanted to go, but that's a little unlucky for him. 12 Overlords, by the way, coming up. Why did we not go Adrenal Glands? There is zero reason to not make Adrenal Glands. Adrenal Glands is 40% attack speed for Zerglings. Like, we are already shopping for... Look at this. We're making 27 additional Overlords here, okay? We could have certainly afforded it. How many OVs do we have now? We're getting 30 Overlords with already 16 of those bad boys. Then we have a bunch of Dropper Lords too. We have a load of stuff. Oh my... Dude, if this is going to be a long game of StarCraft, and he never gets Adrenal Glands, I am going to lose my mind. I may even cry myself to sleep. I'm actually just double checking 17 times, but it's not happening. All right, so this is something only Rogue does. Mass Overseer spam is incredibly powerful when played correctly. It's just that Terran players have been playing Knight as Whack-A-Mole for a while now. By the way, he's mining the base that I said was never going to be mined. Sick. We're suddenly collapsing from every single site. Overlord drop also goes in right now. Aggression across the board, but I think it was mostly just to lead this particular attack towards the main base. Additional Nidus Worms now also coming up. Ultras are going to just plow through whatever they can hit. No Adrenal Glands is actually just like a straight up error. I really hope for Rogue's sake that he realizes here in the near future that his units do not deal the damage that they are supposed to. But generally, Zerglings are not a unit that you keep your camera on for particularly long. So you just kind of, you know, attack move or shift queue and look at the commands maybe, but you don't really sit there and watch. So if you're not sitting there and you're not really watching, you may not pick up on the fact that the Lings don't deal the damage that they're supposed to. And that is going to be a critical mistake here for Rogue. Sensor tower being remade now. $15 additional Overseers coming up. We are going 35 Overseers. I would say that's about 33 too many. But Rogue disagrees. So, in case you've never seen this playstyle before, it's very cool. The general idea is we do have another Overlord drop coming in, but Snipies are going to prevent that, and he does decide to retreat. The general idea is that you make a lot of these. So for a little bit of energy, you can drop a Changeling down to the ground, and generally, Terrans will shut them down with relative ease. But since they don't pop up on the minimap, and there's no obvious indicator for Terran that there is a Changeling in their army, other than like by looking at the unit's movement, but again, StarCraft is a high APM game, you don't spend a lot of time on the same camera view. Usually a few will slip through the cracks, at which point you can use them to pop down Nidus Worms, and it's extremely cool. But also extremely expensive. Oh, no. Oh, what? The planetary didn't die? Come on, we go back now. We gotta check that this was not adrenal glands. Expertly defended so far by Spirit, though. I don't think Spirit has lost anything. Well, I mean, he lost a little bit, but about half as much as the Zerg. I can't believe he never got it. It is such a critical research. Okay, I will shut up about it now. Maybe I won't. All right, here we go. More changelings going across. Tactical nuke also being researched here by Spirit. So he may very well get some of those bad boys out. And even though we were playing bio, we're slowly making a transition now towards additional factories. And we may just end up playing Ghost Mech. Here we go again. Siege tanks manually targeting them down. Fun fact, by the way, about changelings that I did not know until I was playing the game for about 10 years. You don't have to attack move to kill a changeling. It is still considered an enemy unit. You can just right-click it. I, embarrassingly so, in many of my games, have attack moved onto banelings. Or onto changelings, rather. Or at least units that I thought were changelings. And I may have killed many of my own units, historically. And I always wondered how pro gamers do it. You don't attack move them. You just right-click them. This took me an embarrassingly long time. Like, I played tens of thousands of games before I knew this. Anyway. Maybe not tens of thousands. I don't know. I played a lot of games. We have another attack wave headed in the exact same direction. I mean, that's a lot of ultras and a lot of banelings. And just in general, a lot of damage here dealt by the Zerg. It's just that I don't know if it's worth it. There's even a planetary in the main now. Spirit is so done, he built a ring of missile turrets and a planetary in the corner too. Good luck trying to sneak anything by that. I guess we're not at a 2-to-1 ratio anymore, but this is still going phenomenally well here for Spirit, who's just cooking up a late game. A specialty Polish dish by Spirit. It's so funny, man. Like, all the pro gamers hate playing long late games, and Spirit is like, no, it's okay. Okay. No, maybe not everybody hates it, but a lot of pro gamers don't enjoy it. Tactical nukes! Bring them on! Oh, it's right over here. Right over here. On the next, or on the planet, what? The Hive itself. There is, in the meantime, a big attack as well. Is there enough here, though, for the Terran player to defend at home? I think so. I mean, he's carving a bit of a path, but ultimately, with all of these attacks, what is Rogue really killing? Like, what is he really achieving? Does Spirit care about losing 13 SCVs, 16 SCVs? Not really. That was a big attack. At this point, we have how many command centers? We have 12 command centers available. Unless I missed a couple that were already morphing in. Either way, we have a lot of CCs. So, just like one wave of production is all it really takes. I don't think Spirit really needs additional command centers at this point. Like 50 seems like the right number at the 19-minute mark. Now we're going into the Liberators too. So this is full Ghost Mech now, with still a bunch of Marines and Marauders too, just to continue the harassment. Let's see. I actually quite like that he's sticking around on a bio-based army for a bit longer. Historically, Spirit would always make the transition here towards like full Ghost Mech. But you kind of lose that punching power, you know? Like, these outer bases are actually really important to knock down. The general idea here for Rogue, by the way, in case you're wondering why he's just running his head into a wall. The general idea here for Rogue is that he's going to be able to mine more than half the map. So obviously there's a finite amount of resources on a map. And as long as you can shut down bases of your opponent on the outside and eventually mine them yourself, or just deny them repeatedly while you mine your own side of the map, if you can mine 80% of the map's resources, right? Like, your cost inefficiency is completely irrelevant. Now, Rogue can maybe hope for like a 60% at best. But if you can take both the bottom right and then also the top left and somehow, some way mine them out, that is an entire base that he is getting extra and one from Spirit that he is getting denied, right? So that's a major swing resource-wise. And that can justify a lot of these very ineffective trades. So if he mines an entire extra base on the Terran, that would more than justify all of this aggression so far. Another problem that Spirit sometimes runs into a little bit, and I'm not entirely sure if this is even an issue, but something that I always perceive as an issue, is when he gets a bit carried away making too many command centers. This is a weird Terran problem, but a lot of Terrans are like, I have 2,000 minerals. I must make 17 Hey, look, the minerals died. I must make 17 additional command centers, and I just end up with like 28 command centers. And like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like 28 command centers is not even unheard of. But you just end up with a stupid amount of command centers, and then those command centers never really pay for themselves. Like, they technically pay for themselves with 2 mules. So 2 mules will mine as much as a command center plus an orbital command costs, give or take. But obviously, if there's no minerals to mine, you can't get the value. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So there's certainly an upper limit to the effectiveness here. Rogue is, by the way, continuously trying here. And this is now starting to work out. Spirit has been defending this really nicely for a long time, but now the reinforcing links are popping out, and Rogue has been absolutely relentless. Base in the top left, though, denied once more. Reinforcing Terran units show up. Man. I want to believe in the power of the Ultra. Oh my god. Big Daddy Ultra decided to borrow underground. Your haircut is sticking out, dude. Maybe you shouldn't pick a mohawk if you're an Ultra. Ooh. Wow. Today I learned that apparently when you knock down the rocks over here, there's still room. He's making it! Oh my god! I almost missed it! Guys! He did it! It took him only 15 minutes more than it should have, but he did it! Incredible. Yeah, that upgrade is what is causing a lot of these ineffective trades. So I think Rogue finally looked at some of his units and realized that it wasn't going so well. He researched it after losing more than 600 Zerglings already. It's interesting how, like, oftentimes the most important upgrades are the ones that are most commonly missed. It's sloppy. Generally what happens, right? You go up to Hive Tech, you click the thing, you hit the hotkey for the upgrade, and then you make the Ultra Cavern and you click all of the other things at the same time. This is like one of those muscle memories that you really have ingrained. And sometimes you run out of resources because your macro's been too good. This is a real issue you run into as a StarCraft player, I guess. And I'm assuming that may be what happened. Like, Rogue make the Ultra Cavern, and then he started up the upgrades, but he must have just not had the resources for it. Swarm hosts! Shut the... What? Ooh, okay. We have just made 12 swarm hosts. Rogue is ready to throw the kitchen sink at the opponent next. You know what? I actually quite like the idea. I just don't know if it's good. This, like I said, has been a complete inefficient trade so far for Rogue. Like, this entire game up to this point, zero efficiency. However, swarm hosts are one of the very few units that generally gain value over time. I think Rogue has given up on the idea of being able to mine more than 50% of the map. So now we're trying to switch into full cost efficiency and make up for this resource deficit. So ultralisks, I mean, they have not done their jobs. I think a lot of it, though, is the adrenal glands, generally. Like, the adrenal glands are so powerful. Now, this base is also obviously one, though, that Spirit is supposed to take. So I think Spirit has effectively said, yo, you can just take all of the map. I will take my little section here, but this is still an entire extra base that Rogue is mining. Greater Spire coming up. Corruptors are here. We're playing Lingbane Ultra into Ultra, or sorry, Lingbane Ultra into Ultra? Sure. Lingbane Ultra into Nidus, into Swarmhost, into Brute Lords. I don't think he's shown the Swarmhost yet though, has he? Maybe he's already fired away if I missed it, but... I think what Spirit is doing here is way better. This base though is a problem. By the time that Spirit gets to a position where he can actually acquire this expansion, it's already going to be mined out. He can hope maybe to take the mirrored location on the other side of the map, and that's not a terrible choice. He will be, yeah, mining up some of these scraps. But Rogue actually sent a lot of drones to this base early, and the majority of the resources are already gone. He also ended up losing some of the mineral fields over here when those rocks got destroyed. So that's also actually quite an impactful moment. He lost like maybe 4 or so half-mined mineral fields, whereas on the other side of the map, those blue mineral fields are still mineable. We have another Ultra push inside of the main base. Another Nidus Worm as well now, this time around a bit closer to home. I think that's where those Ultras are thinking of heading next. Ship weapons level 2 get denied. Tactical nuke, I mean, oh. There's a second Ghost Academy. Tactical nuke has been sent towards that base that I was trying to highlight, and that is one way to quickly clear it out. The red dot was noticed though, and he decides to, well, evacuate the drones just barely in time. Another group of changelings is slipping through the cracks. Nidus Worm on the left side of the map has been denied. This Ghost, it is going to get killed as well, but already... yeah, this is looking like a really, really powerful game now. And as much as I think Spirit's army here is prepared to deal with late-game Zerg, in a very strange way, he is not prepared to deal with Swarmhosts, which are considered to be like an early mid-game unit at best. So, Swarmhosts are... the problem with Swarmhost is that they are very heavy in supply. And obviously they can only actually deal damage when their Locust ability is available to them, which is on a long cooldown. So, if Spirit can force a fight right after the Locust have used, like, their ability, right? Like, right after the Locust have spawned, generally speaking, Terran will, be able to overwhelm him. It's just that Rogue has so much wiggle room and so much room to breathe here that I don't think he's ever going to be taking a straight-up fight. He would just go for a full counterattack instead. And this is a weird conundrum that Spirit has to try and well, figure out here. How in the world do you make the right decisions? As odd as a late-game Swarmhost transition is, it's actually very powerful. It's just also extremely vulnerable. If somehow there's like a full-on fight, like this is essentially the rest of his entire army. In case you're wondering where the rest of the supply of Zerg is, this is basically it. That's what I'm talking about when I say it's heavy in supply. Like Swarmhost are... there's a bunch of Zerglings, but that's it. Swarmhost are soaking up the majority of the supply count now. I don't think Rogue is... if Rogue uses the Swarmhost defensively... oh my god, he is going to do it. I don't think it's the way. Maybe? This hatchery is going to go down, but ultimately, if you're committing like that, you're also saying I'm not going to go for the counterattacks. Hatchery goes down, and that's really all that Spirit needed to do. Spirit is going to be sending a CC on over in that direction. Shift queuing it around, though, to get over to this mineral line a little bit quicker. Takes about a minute anyways for that creep spread to disappear. Swarmo's going around the left. What a game from Rogue, dude. I really, really like this Zerg playstyle across the board. It's just that I don't know if it's good. I see every Zerg player under the sun avoid this state in the game. So I'm inclined to imagine it's not good for Zerg. Now, Rogue has always been a late-game monster, and he's always been playing the game differently than other high-ranking pros. But when you see even players like Serral tap out of the late game because he can't, like, he doesn't want to play it, right? He can't find a good unit composition. You know, I'm inclined to imagine it's just not a good spot for Zerg to be in. But hey, maybe it just takes a little bit of figuring out. Maybe this is the way to go. Spirit has now decided to go full Liberator, by the way, which I think is a pretty cool choice. Liberators do make sense, but obviously Corruptors, Vipers, like, Rogue has a lot of money in the bank. He can very easily make a transition. Spirit has now begun the slow push with static defense in this direction to deny this base. I kind of love it. Locust wave, though, coming in from the left again. There is, by the way, a certain amount of swarmos where you can start staggering the waves. So you just, like, spawn about half of the locust at a time, which means that you have a lot higher of an upkeep. It's a lot more APM intensive, but it is technically something you can do. Yeah, this is going to be a fight for the final mineral fields, and the mineral fields are over here. I wouldn't mind seeing Rogue maybe retaking this hatch, because there's still some cash to be mined. I don't think Terran really has the option, but Spirit has decided that he wants to grab this base, and this will be his. And I don't entirely disagree, but these minerals have already been mined by the Zerg some time ago. What a game. Keep in mind that Spirit found himself at a major advantage after his literal first attack in this game. Now, interestingly enough, that's also been like his final attack of the game. He's done like, oh, maybe this? Swarmos are covering whatever. Good luck splitting your marines and your ghosts and all that when the entire map is, well, overseers. Somehow he still managed, though. He pulled them away, and I really, really like these missile turrets. Just constantly shooting away and putting some urgency in that fight for the Zerg. Spirit actually managed to deal with that really well. Impressive stuff by Spirit. He's always so confident playing this army. Like, he doesn't stutter at all. Boom, hatchery goes down. Obviously, as these bases, though, are going to be the main focus for Spirit, it also means that he's abandoning the top left. And this is something that is harassable. Although there's only a few hundred minerals remaining now, so I think Spirit will probably be able to get away with it. But it's something that Rogue should have maybe gone after immediately when he saw that Spirit had his eyes set on that expansion that he's mining right now. This hatch is going to fall too, and this will likely be the next base that Spirit will be aiming for. He can deny that one repeatedly. Creep spread looking absolutely bananas. Rogue covering the majority of the map now. But, the minerals are starting to run out. There is a finite amount of resources. And this should be, oh my god, when the Swarmos gain value. Now I say that, this is not the fight, Rogue. No way. You just went straight down the meat grinder and decided then to retreat when you were already mostly down there. Rogue is trying to run out of cash. Yeah. So look at this. The entire first, like, 30 minutes of this game, Rogue was ahead, income-wise. And this is what Spirit has been aiming for this entire time. It's been the long game. He could have done literally anything else because he had every strategy under the sun that available to him. Like, he could play literally anything, but this is what he decided to go for. And you gotta respect it. It's amazing. It's really cool to see. He plays for a 40-minute win. Oh, is there enough, though, for Terran to hold on? Because there's about 1,000,001 things that can go horribly wrong. These choke points are just insane to me, though. I don't think Ultras are ever going to get value. Most of the Ultras are fighting like 1 or 2 Marauders at a time. This one's getting a bit of value. Corruptors up in the air still available. A lot of the Marines on the ground, though, are fake. There's more infested Marines than there are real ones. But ultimately, Spirit actually microed his way out of that. Hatchery, by the way, now acquired here by the Zerg again. This was that base on the left side. Spirit says, yo, don't mind if I do. He can actually drop mules here, which I would love to see. Just snatch up those mineral fields and don't think about them. Yeah, so notice how he didn't make actually an extreme amount of command centers this time around. So, I mean, we lost 11 command centers plus 3 over here. We lost 14 command centers. So he's only made 25. Math is a bit hard. We're not going to do it. 25, though, is a reasonable number. Maybe still a lot. I didn't actually realize he lost that many. Like, that many planetaries and orbitals going down, and then also 3 that never actually had anything. I actually expected the number to be closer to 15. That does mean he spent an additional 4,000 or so resources on additional command centers than I expected. And if we do that math, imagine an additional 4,000 resources right now in Spirit's bank. This game would look way better for him. Right now, this base is starting to become a little dire. The swarm hosts, man. The swarm hosts are bringing it back. I can't believe this. These infested Terrans constantly mixing in, or these changelings constantly mixing in with the Terran bio army. Also, like, you look at the game from little glimpses, right? So programmers will be glimpsing around and they will look at their army and just get a feel for how strong that army is. When you constantly see an inflated number of Marines, half of them being fake, but to his eyes it doesn't look fake, like to his it just looks like real Marines, you may actually believe your army is more powerful than it is. And it's a lot of those, like, split-second decisions that make a game of StarCraft. Spirit's army has been at least like 25% fake for like the last 10 minutes. Hatchery actually coming up here. Rogue making a bunch of banelings that are somehow heading on over towards the bottom right. I don't really know exactly where we're headed. But both players still maxed out. But the mining is starting to run extremely low. We have about 2,000-ish a minute coming in for Spirit. Maybe 2/3 of that here for Rogue. But these mineral fields are low. This base is already run out. We have some scraps left over here on this base. It's that outer one that he now reacquired for about the 7th time. And Spirit's mining is predominantly in this base, but that one is also running out. We're now, we're arriving at a unique scenario where literally the entirety of the map is mined out. Both players are maxed. Both of them have a reasonably similar amount of, well, money in the bank. So, with all of that being said, I would imagine the player that has infinite unit spawns in the swarm host should be winning. Because as long as Rogue can continuously fly these waves in and just snipe a few units here and there, he should be, in the long run, he should win. Now, again, when the Locusts have been spawned, the Terran army is going to be able to push through. If they can force an engagement, this would be the time. If Spirit can go right now, while these units are on cooldown, I mean, he's got like a 45-second window or so where he can actually deal tremendous damage. What a game. What a beautiful game. My first look at this map. I've never seen a game on this map before. Absolute insanity. Well, this is setting a very high standard, I can tell you that much. I think this map is going to get a lot of votes. It is very nice. It doesn't really have any real weaknesses, right? I feel like all of this is pretty obvious. 19 SCVs actually should go down here. We don't really have any useful workers anymore. Here's another Locust wave. He's sniping Locust! He is sniping Locust with ghosts! I've watched this game for a decade and a half. I have never seen anybody snipe Locust. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Why not? I mean, you do need energy for snipes in the actual engagement too, so maybe don't use all of your snipes. But if you have enough, it is the quickest way to get rid of them. Without detection, the ghosts are going to be a great option anyway. I love the addition right now, actually, of a bunch of Hellions too. One thing, obviously, here that Spirit is a little concerned for is a switch on over to Brute Lords. He doesn't know how much money Zerg has. If suddenly there's a bunch of Brutes up in the air, he needs something, and Hellbats are going to be just the right thing. Siege tank, a little out in the open. Not activating all the swarm hosts. Oh, there we go. That's 2 tanks. A couple Hellions. Maybe a Marine. Those swarm hosts, I can't believe we had like a 30-minute or so? Maybe 25 minutes? Mass swarm host transition. And it's actually been the perfect call. I don't think Rogue could have made a better unit. It's an extremely niche scenario. I consider the Swarm Host to be like probably the worst unit in competitive play across the board. It's extremely specialized, and I don't think we should really be improving on it, because like the Swarm Host is weak, yes, but it's also just on the brink of being overpowered. I know that that is a very strange statement, but if you change anything about the Swarm Host, you make anything a little bit better about it, it's immediately going to take top position in practically every situation. Oh my god, we are now scanning to get vision to be able to drop mules. One long-distance mining mule. What a game. What an absolute game. Rogue is in a better spot. Yeah. The simple truth of the matter is that Rogue can end this game in the same way that he began it. He can go back to full Ling Bane. Even maybe add in some ultras. If he can force the fight, trade out at least reasonably effectively, Spirit is not going to be able to keep it up. Like, Spirit can't remax. Spirit has actually lost too many command centers. I genuinely think he should not have lost... Like, I know it's hard, but I mean, we've had 7 command centers that can fly. Planetaries can't fly, but orbitals and regular CCs can. Losing 7 orbital command... Or 7 command centers here in total, with like 4 of them being orbitals, that's a lot of resources down the drain that really could have been quite easily saved. I mean, easily with a little asterisk right next to it. But certainly very savable. Here go the ghosts. There is still a tactical nuke available. I mean, if we can end this game with fireworks, I'm down for it too, but... Calm and collected. Snipes. Ooh. Very uncommon to see a bunch of ghosts sniping Swarm Hosts, and this may actually be the fight. Rogue has decided to commit and double down on this aggression. Ghosts are running away for their lives, but they don't have energy to cloak anymore, and that means that the Banelings can just immediately take them out. Rogue decides to reinforce this with Ultras and Zerglings, and soon, for Spirit, there is nowhere left to run. What a game from Rogue. Incredible. I mean, this game had everything. This was the most lore-accurate way to play Zerg. Incredible tech transitions, non-stop harassment, just hitting the opponent at 3, 4, 5 different angles at once. What a match. That was beautiful. GG.